Torque Test channel, get this right about the Gen 4 Milwaukee, about the hardness of the steel and all that news that we heard not that long ago. What's my thought on it? Before we talk about Milwaukee specifically, because it's going to seem like I'm just a Milwaukee fanboy, I want to make it clear, I'm actually more into the Flex and dewalt lineup and recommending it more than the Milwaukee right now. When you look at what Flex is doing with their newest battery, even versus its 3.0, and you look at what dewalt's been doing with their batteries, it's a clear winner for me in the field, carrying something every day for size, weight, and everything, plus the fast charging. The last great battery that Milwaukee came out with is fairly large, just doesn't make sense on an impact unless you're just driving screws all day. So for what I do all day, it makes more sense for me to have a smaller battery. Okay, now that we've established that I'm not just going to bat for Milwaukee, let's talk about why I think that the information's irrelevant about the hardness of the steel and maybe this thing failing early. When you're driving a screw through wood or other soft material, whatever you're doing, you're getting a result. The screw is progressing forward. When you're driving an impact on a bolt on a socket and the bolt isn't moving, and you're trying to measure the torque based on just the peak torque and leaving this thing on for 10 seconds, and you're not getting a result, I think you should expect things to break. This is the benchmark, so this is going to be tested against all the other tools, so it's obvious that this is going to get used more in their testing. This is the takeaway. I think it's irrelevant that you're abusing a tool that it wasn't designed to do and then saying about how it fails early. It's kind of like when you pull your car up next to a curb and you turn your steering wheel, but your wheel was up against the curb, so there's nowhere to go, but yet the steering wheel still moved. You just messed up your alignment. I don't think it makes sense to go through all the vehicles to discover which one you can get away with running your steering wheel while your tire's next to a curb, and then saying that this car failed before this one, and it's a relevant piece of information. I don't think it matters, because you're doing something the tool wasn't designed to do. As long as the screw is driving and you're getting a result, this thing will probably last forever. I think the hardness of this is irrelevant and probably a huge feature. It's probably more proof that this thing will last even longer if you just do what it's designed to do. Now, I've had more failures on my Milwaukees than anything, which is another reason why I don't really like Milwaukee. I just don't think that the hardened steel is a factor when it comes to this. I've had more electronic problems with Milwaukees and just random nonsense than any other brand. Well, I got a job to do, so usually you just go buy the newest one that comes out. That's the way it is. I've never really tried to warranty a tool in my life. So let's get some real data down below in the comments and let us know, are these things failing in the field or not? I'm genuinely curious. This is the 860. How is this in the field for a lot of abuse? This hasn't seen enough for me to really speak on it. It drives really fast. It's a nice driver. It feels good. Uses a 1.7. Good enough for me. The 850, the collet here slips when you're driving, things that you shouldn't be screwing into wood like this. But let's be honest, I believe you get more control with an impact driving into wood than a drill. So I'll continue to use it, but hard to recommend the 850 if you're going to lose bits in the wall. I don't think I've ever had anything slip out of my Flex ever. So I'm really enjoying the Flex. Since these things came out, 2009, 10, 11, whenever it was, I've pretty much almost been able to use the same 5.0 battery, man. They just last a long time. The Milwaukee stuff is pretty bulletproof when you stop and think about it. The 5.0 battery is just about legendary at this point. You can almost put it in a museum. There's some running out there that are just still going. I had a 3 that almost lasted me 5 years. That's $130 for 2 of these on sale. That's like cheap to last that long. Hard to beat the bang for your buck that you get in Milwaukee. Hard to beat the power to weight ratio. There's no doubt about that. So this wasn't a slamming Milwaukee video, but what I'm liking right now is definitely the dewalt and the Flex. I'm getting this question a lot. I think when it comes to power, how much power do you really need? This is the 800. The 805 is also fantastic. You put this thing in speed 1 and you've got more torque than you would even probably need on a job site. I was running this auger installing termite protection around the house, and you can see this thing really had some work put into it. And this was the weapon of choice here, and this thing's got a ton of power with the anti-kickback, extra safe on a large auger like this, which would be pretty dangerous. So yeah, absolutely on the dewalt and flex train in combination with each other, but definitely not hating on Milwaukee. Respect where it's due, power to weight, longevity of the batteries. Milwaukee has a lot going for it. You can't go wrong with either one of these three, especially now that we're getting into the 2.0 range. Well, we recently did a live and we got the new flex battery here. This is the 2.0. You can see how light it is. So after the live, I got hundreds of questions about, felt like hundreds of questions, about which one do I like? Do I like the flex? Do I like the dewalt? Do I like the Milwaukee? What do I recommend? With the flex coming out with the 2.0, and you can see how much lighter we're starting to get, it's hard not to really enjoy the smallness of the dewalts and now the new appreciation of the smaller battery with the flex. They're definitely going in the right direction. So when somebody asks what's my recommendation, it's going to be the 860 with a power stack. And you could say I'm a little bit salty about Milwaukee not giving us a smaller stack lithium battery. And you wouldn't be wrong. But at the end of the day, man, I'd rather have this thing 100% depleted than still walking around with this big brick with only missing one bar. I would rather have two of these and rotate them out than having 2 bars left on this thing and having to carry it around all day. It just makes more sense to me. Now, if you got a saw, a recip, a chainsaw, whatever you're doing, it makes sense to get this. But for the most part, man, a lot of what you guys are doing, maybe you're like supervising a house being built and you need to put up like a couple of closet rods here or there or a shelf or something like that. You don't need a battery that's the size of the tool, which is why for years I've been highly recommending the high output 3.0. But now you can see where the flex 24 volt is starting to really shine, and it's time for Milwaukee to give us an upgrade. So the power of the weight, everything that you get with Milwaukee, it's hard to deny how great it is. Reliability, whatever you want to call it, Milwaukee definitely has its place. So in the comments below, like I said before, let's get a real conversation going. Do these things fail? What tools do you guys experience failures on? We know about the flex battery leaking. That was a nightmare. Haven't really seen too many things from this. This seems to be pretty solid so far. The 850 releases bits. I really no longer recommend the 850 just because you don't want to lose bits in your wall. We ran this thing. This thing's a beast, the 1007 here. But time will tell on that. My thought about the Gen 4, man, you get a lot of power to weight ratio on this thing. The handle is tiny. They could call this a compact and you guys would accept it. It's a very, very tiny tool. When I use it, man, it has so much torque. I feel like the clamshell like comes apart. I don't know if it does or not, but I just feel the tool torquing when I'm doing some of these stupid tests. And it's almost too powerful for its own good for how small this tool is. Seriously impressive stuff from Milwaukee, no doubt. But then you always run to the question, well, how much power do you really need? Because after using this 800 here, I've kind of decided this is going to be my go-to. It's super light. I got to put a battery on it to get it on the scale for you. So we're going to zero out the scale by leaving the battery on, turning it on, and then leaving a negative there. Perfect. And now we can get the actual weight of the tool there. 2 pounds, 14.2 ounces. And if we do the same thing here with the battery still on, we got 3 pounds, 5. The 1007 has 4 pounds, 2.1. And a completely different animal here. We're going to put the flex on here. Let's just reset it. We'll just use the zero method. 4 pounds, 13. So you can see where this 2.0 is really coming in clutch now for some of us flex guys that are used to boat anchors. Now we kind of look at the best combination here from Milwaukee for power to weight, and you're still sitting at 4 pounds, 9 ounces there. So you can see where the dewalt is really starting to make a lot of sense when you just don't need a ton of power. So there you go. That's my thought on that. Did they get it wrong? Are they wrong for making the video? I don't know, man. People will make whatever they want to make. But at the end of the day, I don't think it's a relevant fact or really relevant data when you're just pounding on a bolt that's not moving and then saying, well, the tool broke. Well, the tool might never break under that situation because you're never going to be in that situation. So who really cares? Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Does this thing fail or not? Let us know. See you guys in the next one. Thanks for watching.